Hi, I'm just doing a quick video for you because it is lambing time now, and we have learned over the years that to have a lambing basket or lambing box ready on hand, sitting on the side, so that if you get a problem or difficulty, or just when the lambs are born, you've got the items on hand ready, so you're not scrabbling around and trying to find this or that, because sometimes, you know, time can be of the essence and you can lose precious time trying to find the necessary items. So I thought I'd just run through with you what we actually keep on hand ready, just the really bare essentials for this time of year. So this is our lambing basket, and I just keep it sitting here in the barn on the side, just handy for if any lambs are coming and we need to just grab it and go onto the field straight away. So first thing that I've got is, I've actually got two different types of iodine spray here, but this is the stronger one, the 7% iodine solution spray. However, I don't like to spray the cord of a newborn lamb. I actually like to pour it into a jam jar, and I'll do it probably about halfway full. So I pour the iodine into here and keep a tight lid on it, and then when the lamb is born, I then get the lamb and put this over the cord and tip the lamb back so that this completely covers the belly and the cord, so everything is saturated in this strong iodine solution. So jam jar with some iodine in it, and then extra iodine as well, because you will go through a bit of this depending on how many lambs you're going to have. Okay, so that's the first thing. And the next thing is I've got some hand gel here, like glycerin, and this is if you need to inspect the sheep, the ewe, when she's in labour, and the labels come off here, so you can't quite read it. If you need to inspect the ewe and maybe she's taking a long time to deliver her lamb, and you're thinking, well, maybe it's backwards, maybe one of the legs is tucked back like that. And so once you've soaped your hands and washed right up to your elbows, you can then put this on your hands and put this all around the opening of the ewe, and this will help your hand to slip in, and then you can be able to feel and see, okay, can I feel the head, can I feel the two little, so the presentation should be like this, two little hooves and the nose, but sometimes one of the legs is back and you've got to get your hand in and you've got to try and gently pull that leg forwards. Sometimes you've got a breech as well, and you've got the lamb is presenting backwards, and then you need to just gently ease that lamb out when the sheep has a contraction. So that's the next thing. I've got some shears here, just in case the back end of the ewe gets quite messy and we need to clear it out, which we often do after lambing anyway, just to cut any messy wool away. I've also got the hoof trimmers here, because once the ewe has had her lamb or lambs, we bring them in and we keep them in for 2 days to make sure that they're all doing well, and during that time we'll just give the ewe a good going over, so it's a good time to trim her feet and make sure that there's no foot rot and there's no problems there. Make sure that the lambs are feeding really well with the milk from the ewe. Now in here is this is CalciJect number 6, and this is if a ewe goes into calcium or magnesium deficiency, and this can happen so quickly, and you need to get the this CalciJect into the ewe as fast as you can. It can be a problem at this time of year when she's grazing on a lot of the fresh grass that's growing super fast, and she can become calcium depleted, and that it can actually cause the death of the ewe really quickly. So we have a bottle of this, and I do have a, yeah, this is my fuller bottle. There is a bit left in here, but this one here, I'll just show you. It's, so the top of it, you actually put the needle of the syringe in there, and then you extract the right amount. You've got to sort of gauge how heavy your sheep might be, and then you take up into the syringe. And then I've also got some syringes here that I tend to keep a supply ready. And you can get these from your vet. So I'm just wondering if I've got it written down. No, I thought I had the amounts written down to put into the sheep. One of the really important things is with this, but I do advise you to read up about CalciJect and how you inject it into the sheep. And I think I always have to remind myself every year, but I do recommend that you read up about this beforehand, because this is something that you've got to do like really quickly. When you see a sheep is down and she's foaming at the mouth, or she's like her eyes are turned up, or her eyes have gone sort of opaque, and she's quite listless, you've got to get in there and get the calcium into her body as soon as possible. And this is this is a subcutaneous injection. So you normally get it where there's a nice flap of skin, so you're not going into the muscle and you're not going into any blood vessel. So this is just underneath the skin, subcutaneous. So I tend to do either sort of on the rump there, and I'll lift a flap of skin, and then I'll insert the needle and very slowly inject this in. I can't think that I do. I try and get in about 6. Oh, what is it? I need to write it down actually. But I know that I put in about 20 mil first of all for the Shetland sheep, and it's really important that this is not really cold, because this will shock the sheep if it's really cold. So it's better to have it warmed up slightly, and you can do that with a pot that's got warm water on it. It mustn't be hot, but it just needs to be like room temperature, and you can just stand this in the pot of warm water, and then you take up, stick the needle in there, and then take up about 20 mil, and then really slowly get the 20 mil into her. Another good place to do it is sort of like the flap, the back of the neck, where you can get a nice flap of skin and you can get the needle in subcutaneously. So but read up about that, and then see. But always go on thinking, okay, it's a Shetland sheep, it's smaller than the conventional sheep that you're going to be reading about, so often they don't need as much CalciJect as what you're reading about. Sometimes I might just do 20 mil or 30 mil, and I'll wait and see if that's had enough of an effect. And you're really looking for a really quick turnaround of the sheep, that, you know, within 10 minutes, you know, she's starting to sort of come around, and she's starting to look a bit more like she's got more life in her, and she's responding to the calcium, because it goes super quick into the blood. I haven't got it in here, but I also keep I keep a couple of cloths in here. I keep the gloves in here, so I'm not getting my scent on the lamb, on the newborn lamb. So I've got a good supply of these sort of skin tight gloves that I keep in here. I've got some TCP if I need it for anything, and I've got a bit of honey there to rub onto any wound or anything on the sheep. And then I also keep a couple of towels as well, just in case the ewe is giving birth and it's really horrible weather and it's cold and you need to get that lamb really warm before you can bring it in under cover. That really is, you need to be doing that. If the weather is really cold and wet, or there's a really biting cold wind blowing, and you can't get sort of bales of hay out onto the field where they're lambing, you've then got to take measures to bring the ewe and the lambs indoors and get them out of that cold, wet weather, get them dry, and then feed the ewe really well. So just the other thing to add about the lambing is you need to be really vigilant now. You need to be checking the sheep around the clock, and you're looking for signs of them going into labour. That will even mean you're going out at night time and you're checking them, and just don't ease off that. That is really important. You can really make a big difference there between the life or death of your lambs and the welfare of your sheep. Also, they really need to have something that they can get behind if they're out on the field. They really need to have a couple of bales of hay. They need to have like a dry shelter that they can take themselves into for lambing. Give them that choice if they need to do it. Just don't have them out on a bare field where the wind is blowing across and there's nothing that they can get behind to be able to give birth. Okay, so there's a ton of stuff I could tell you as well about the actual lambing, but don't jump in too quickly. Often the ewe knows what she's doing and she just needs time and she needs space to be able to get on and do what she needs to do. Once you see them go into labour and they're getting quite restless and they're not really eating the grass, and they might want to take themselves off from the rest of the sheep to sort of like a little corner. They might be a little bit agitated, pawing the ground, turning round and round and round. You know that they're getting ready to have their lambs. So make sure you've got that lambing box ready. Make sure you've got some towels ready if you need them. Make sure there's a windbreak there and some shelter if it's raining and it's really cold. And just keep checking, just keep going and checking on the sheep, because this is something like we've been waiting for the birth of these lambs. So we need to be vigilant, and often just watching and waiting and observing is the best thing that you can do. And if 5-6 hours have gone by, then you would start to think, okay, what's going on here? Maybe there's a problem, and then that's when you might then start to take measures to investigate. Hope you found that helpful.